we've got here a number of different things I'm working on right now. That is the coil pack cover for an RB25, the cam gear cover, again for an RB25, but I think 26 might be exactly the same, and I'm not sure, yeah, 20 as well. I think they're the same. So there's that. I'm currently almost ready to mold this. The projector headlights, I'm just fixing up some little bits and pieces that need to be done with this so that it can be ready to be molded. This is a really awkward spot, so I have to change it just a slight bit. Then these are what I'm really eager to do. That will be for a gear knob, so you'll be shifting like that, and you'll see what it's going to look like when it's finished, I suppose. But now I'll mold these so that you can see how molds are made, or how they can be made. I'm doing this to increase the number of pieces I can make on each mold. So rather than doing one piece at a time, which would take me a day, and I really don't want to spend 1 or 2 days making one of these, so I'll be doing maybe 5 or 10 at once. That way, just freeing up my life for other awesome stuff. The first thing you want to do when you're making a mold, or when you're making parts in the mold, is put some sealant on. Well, the first thing you want to do is make sure it's clean, but these are clean, so I'll put some of this sealant on. It's kind of like a waxy stuff when it dries off, so just gotta do that, and we'll put on a few of these coats. 4 coats of this stuff with about 15 minutes in between to let it dry off and evaporate, sort of. Now, I would also be wearing a mask for this because you generally don't want to inhale any chemicals, but this is pretty well ventilated. As you can hear the birds, the garage is open. So yeah. See how it sort of beads up on the surface? I'm not sure. Yeah, there you go, you can see that. You want to just rub it in until it's nice and dry. Wow. Well, that actually seems to be having a reaction with the clear coat. It's not so much of an issue though, as once I mold this, I'll be sanding it down anyway, but I didn't expect this. Okay, well, there you go, unexpected things happen. That's a shame. You should always test these things first, obviously, for these kinds of eventualities, but as I won't be needing these, I didn't really care too much, but this is worse than I expected, so what can you do? Whatever. Gotta keep moving. And I'll do this about 3 more times. I will stick these bits onto a piece of wood so they can hang upside down above the dish here. This here shoehorn has cracked, as you can see. I think it might be time to make one out of carbon fiber in the near future, because I can't live without these things. The Clear wanted to play mind games with me, and I thought, you know, I can play that game too. So what I did was I got the sealant and just rubbed it on real nice until the clear was gone. So now it's back down to the epoxy enamel paint that was underneath, which is just fine anyway. I wanted it to have a bit more sheen to it, but that's not a real issue because I'll be sanding and making sure that the epoxy copies of these are perfect. They'll be much better to work with because they're uniform. Just a big solid block of epoxy, whereas this is wood and paint on top of it, so they'll be much better anyway. Okay, so what I've got set up here is on each side a bit of wood and this foam, which is the perfect height to keep these two pieces just suspended in the middle of this cup with about probably 5 mil or so gap below it, so the resin can fill the cup, the lid, that is, this plastic lid, and create a nice mold. Now I've mixed up the epoxy resin there in the correct ratios, but there are quite a few air bubbles. Now because this is going to make the mold for more pieces that I'm going to be making, air bubbles will kind of make the surface of that mold uneven on the inside because the bubbles will shrink. So what I have to try and do is just let this warm up, and because this will cause an exothermic reaction, it will just heat up all on its own. It's already happening. The bubbles will float to the top when the liquid becomes, is it less viscous or more viscous? When it becomes more runny, basically. So as this heats up, it becomes more runny. I can't really quite wait for those bubbles to be gone, so I've stuck this cloth over the top with heaps of little holes in it, and hopefully the resin will just pour straight through that and the air bubbles will be just, I'm not sure what the word for it is, but basically gone. What's the term for that? Does anyone know? Like when you sift a liquid and it gets rid of the bubbles. Well, that's getting warm now. It's getting nice and hot. Okay, fingers crossed. Let's see how well this works. Ah, beautiful. That is excellent. Can you see that? That's really good. No air bubbles whatsoever. This is good. Perfect. I'll zoom in once I fill this to some extent. Okay, let's put this on. Nice and easy, no rush. Just making sure, yep, that's beautiful. Okay, now we'll just fill it. I'll pull this way and then move it along later. I'm glad I made a fair bit of this, because if I have too much, it's no issue. I can just put it in a metal can I have over there. Metal, not plastic. Into a metal can, so that the rest of it can just cure in there. You know, just rubbish. If you don't have enough, then yeah, then you've got to make more, and it's a nuisance. You don't want to be rushing with this. Do it nice and careful. That's the, and you can probably see the vapor there. That's how hot this stuff is. Okay, let's get accurate. Yeah. That's how many degrees? 125 degrees that resin is right now. Celsius.